Welcome, everybody. My name is Scott Edwards. This is Hail Happens, where we help policyholders and homeowners have a great experience with the insurance company and a roof replacement process. I want to tell you a little bit about something that's really important. It's called workers' comp. If you don't know about it, you better know, because you could lose your house. Got your attention yet? I'm going to explain to you what you can do to protect yourself so that when somebody gets injured on their property, that you're covered. How many times have you heard this? A contractor say to you, we're licensed, bonded, and insured. Guess what? You may still be exposed because the coverage that you're looking for may not be there to protect you if somebody gets hurt on your property. We're going to talk about licensing. Here in the great state of Texas, where our company is located, there is no requirement for you to have a license to put roofs on in the state of Texas. That means that if I woke up today and got a hammer and walked out my front door, all of a sudden, I'm a roofer. And guess what? When a hailstorm hits your city, everybody wants to be a roofer. So your neighborhood fence contractor now is Johnny Boy's Fence and Roof. Your neighborhood pool contractor is doing pool service during the day, knocking doors during the night so he can sell some roofs. It's, Jimmy Boy's Pool Contracting and Roofing. So my point is this: when you've got so little barriers to entry into this business, and it's such a complex thing that we're having to do, installing a roof, it's not easy. That's when you start to have problems. And so there's an organization called the Roofing Contractors Association of Texas, and what they do is it's an organization that kind of holds contractors accountable in the roofing industry to higher standards. So in order to be a member, you have to pay your bills. So when a manufacturer gives you credit and you have your 30-day net, you got to pay your bills. They want you to pay your bills. It's companies that carry insurance to protect themselves and their customers. It's companies that do the right thing and have a good reputation. So, and there's a lot of other criteria. I won't go through the whole thing, but bottom line is this organization is designed to hold contractors in the roofing industry accountable to higher standards. So since there's no license in the state of Texas, what by the way, we're RCAT members. There's no license in the state of Texas. So what RCAT does is they say, okay, hey, we will provide this certification where you've got these study materials. I'm looking at mine. I've got 5 books stacked to about a little under a foot high that you've got to study in order to get a license in the state of Texas. And that's what it is. It's through RCAT. It's not an official Texas state license, though. It is, in effect, a way for you to know that the contractor that's installing your roof is credentialed and experienced and knows the rules when it comes to installing the products. That's one thing you can do, is make sure that they're RCAT members with the license in the state of Texas. But if they don't have a license, again, there's no barrier to entry. You've got contractors out there doing whatever the hell they want. I can tell you stories you wouldn't even believe. I see multiple layers of felt. When we did some roofs in Lubbock, Texas, I would tear off some of these roofs, and I'm not joking. We'd find 4 layers of felt underneath there. That means that they never ripped off the felt. They never inspected the decking to make sure it was not rotten, to replace it if needed. They just slapped shingles right on top of it. They're just replacing the shingles. All right, that's not the way to do it. You got to do it the right way. So when there's no license, there's nobody looking out for the rules. There's nobody to make sure it's done the right way. So that's one thing. And if there's no license in an industry where there's so much money that can be made, there's a lot of people that are coming into the industry and don't have the proper insurance to cover themselves, to protect them, their company, and the customers. So let me give you a couple examples of what that means. The main thing we're going to talk about, like I said today, is workers' comp and how you can keep from getting sued out of your house. So when a contractor says we're licensed, bonded, and insured, it makes you feel good inside. Makes you, it's like that reference in Tommy Boy to the Guaranteed. It's got to be on the box. If it's not on the box, make you feel all good inside. Well, if somebody says they're licensed, bonded, and insured, that usually makes people feel good enough to sign a contract, let them do their roof and all that good stuff. And a lot of times nothing happens, okay? But when they say that, a lot of times they're not telling you that they don't have workers' comp insurance. They have general liability. By the way, before we start talking real deep in insurance talk, I'm a roofing contractor. I'm not a licensed insurance professional. I'm not an insurance agent. I'm not an insurance adjuster. I'm none of that stuff. I'm not an attorney. None of that stuff. So anything that I say is my opinion only. Disclosure. So what I was saying is, and you can look this up. And by the way, I'm looking at a document from Crenshaw Lumber. It's CrenshawLumber.com. It's a blog that they wrote, and this is focused mostly on nationwide type stuff. A lot of references in here about California, but they do reference Texas, and here's why. They specifically mentioned Texas in an article about workman's comp because Texas is the only state that doesn't require a company that has employees to carry workman's comp insurance. By the way, I don't know if it's workman's comp, workers' comp. People use it interchangeably, so I'm just, whatever it is, it is. My point is this, is if you don't have workman's comp, that covers injury, personal injury. It covers lost wages. It covers medical bills. So when a person gets injured and they're an employee, they have those coverages in place. Most big companies have that. But if you think about it, if there's very few barriers to entry in our industry and there's good money to be made, most likely a lot of these people don't have workman's comp insurance because it's very expensive. Sometimes it can be, up to 20-25% of payroll, which is a lot. So when you have that situation, they don't want to lose business because they're not talking about the coverages that they should have. So they say the licensed, bonded, and insured. They don't say that we have workman's comp coverage. So one of the things that we do in our company is we educate our customers, like I'm doing today, about the differences. General liability, again, not an insurance professional, but general liability, my understanding, and what you can look up in your own policy to verify this, is coverage for property damage. So that means if let's say a roofing contractor's got a big old trailer and they're backing it up into your yard and they back into your garage, well, that's pretty expensive, especially if they damage your, brand new Porsche parked in it. Okay, that's a claim. You're not going to just, pop a check for $2,000, go get a garage door. You got to file a claim. Well, that's liability. That's what a lot of contractors have. You know why? Because they can say they're insured and it's cheap. Relatively speaking, general liability is not very expensive. And a lot of contractors, especially subs, that's why you got to watch them. We verify it every month to make sure they're covered. A lot of subs and contractors that just want to kind of act like they're the real deal, they'll go get the coverage and then they'll let it lapse. So then they'll show you the certificate of insurance, and then when you call to verify it or you file a claim, God forbid something happens, you have to file a claim. It's like, oh no, they lapsed their coverage. They didn't pay it. They're not covered. That happens. So what is workman's comp and why is it important? Workman's comp covers personal, and we talked about this, personal injury, medical bills, stuff like that. If somebody falls off of the roof and workman's comp coverage is not in place, that means that if the attorney decides to sue you and they exceed the limits of your homeowner's insurance policy, because that's the first place they're going because it happened on your policy, then that means that they can come after you personally. If you don't have an umbrella, then they're coming after you. That means they're going to blow out the limits of your policy, and they're coming for your house, they're coming for your car, they're coming for your, second home. They're coming for everything. Everybody knows how it is when it comes to litigation, and if you don't, look it up or you've been living under a rock. Those attorneys are going everything for everybody. I mean, shoot, you could, if the guy walking his dog by the property when somebody falls off the roof, hey, your dog was a little bit close to our property. What's your homeowner's insurance coverage? The point is this: if the company that's doing work on your house doesn't have workman's comp coverage in place, you are exposed, and you're exposed big time. So it's important. And like I said, I compete in the Texas markets all the time. Our company has workman's comp coverage for our employees and everybody that steps on your property. Because if we don't, then you're exposed. Our competitors, a lot of them don't. And so do your due diligence. Ask the questions. Okay, you're licensed, bonded, and insured. That makes me feel real good. But do you have workman's comp? That's the key question here. Another thing that you can do to protect yourself is this. When a contractor comes to do work, they say they have workman's comp. There's two things you can do. One, say, hey, listen, just to protect myself, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to send me a certificate of insurance and make me a named insured. Make me a certificate holder. And our company does it. Good companies will do it. They'll go ahead and put you in as an additional insured or a certificate holder on their policy so that you're protected if somebody falls off the roof or somebody gets injured on the job. That's just one thing that you can do to protect yourself. And don't think that it's overreaching. Don't think that it's an imposition. Companies that fight you on doing that, they're either not covered or they were covered and now they're not. Do yourself a favor. Ask them to provide that protection for you. And if it was me, I'm just telling you, if it was me, once they did it, I'd call the company. Say, hey, just want to make sure these guys really are covered. And it should list the insurance company too, not just the broker. You can have the broker and the insurance company. I know a guy, I'm not going to name names, but this guy would provide certificates of insurance. He would get a real certificate of insurance that he had in the past, and then he would change out the phone number to where it went directly to him. So when people would call to verify insurance, he would say, hey, this is so-and-so. And they say, is this such and such insurance? And he'd say, oh, yeah. Oh, you're calling to verify? Oh, yeah, so-and-so. Yeah, we got you. Think about that. You know, and that's obviously that's a unique situation. That's something that they were doing, something nefarious that they shouldn't have been doing, but at least do a little bit of due diligence to protect yourself. And so that's the point of this podcast is, number one, see if a contractor is in the Roofing Contractors Association of Texas or the National Roofing Contractors Association. That's the base minimum level for you to have at least the knowledge that they're going to be held accountable to some higher standards. Then ask if they're licensed through those companies. The next question you ask is, do you have insurance? And the next question after that is, do you have workman's comp insurance? And lastly, ask them to provide you a certificate of insurance that has you listed as a named insured or certificate holder. Again, not an insurance professional. Hopefully that helps you guys. My name is Scott Edwards. This has been Hail Happens. Hopefully that helps you out. Let's go.